The title of this presentation, Home Awaits You. I would like to talk to you starting with the National Housing Trust, why the NHT exists and what the NHT is all about, because fundamental to a relationship with the NHT is you are contributing to the National Housing Trust. And anybody who is contributing to a program, a scheme, they want to know what it is that they're contributing to and the benefits, and if it is an organization that you can actually trust. So I want to just in case there are persons who aren't aware as yet enough about NHT and what the NHT's mandate is, this presentation is for you. And of course, for everybody who wants to own a piece of our island home. So who is the National Housing Trust? The NHT was established in 1976. And since that period, almost 200,000 benefits, more than that, have been issued, which has really benefited well more than 700,000 Jamaicans right across the island. And the aim is to do that much more, even at a more rapid pace, as we continue into our development as a nation state, as a people. So we have a lofty vision, one we believe in, and we enjoy sharing it with persons because we want you to hold us to it. We are and we will be ranked among the leading housing finance institutions in the world, renowned for customer service and the contribution to national development. Our mission is improving the quality of life of Jamaicans by facilitating home ownership and community development, particularly among low-income earners. And I will even interject here by saying that the NHT, because of this mission, it maintains the lowest interest rates on its loans anywhere in the island. And I would even dare say in the world, because there are NHT contributors whose loans are at 0% interest. So when they're repaying, the only thing they pay back on is the very loan itself. They pay no interest. That's how seriously NHT takes its mission of taking care of the housing need of its contributors, especially among those who are low-income earners. So what the NHT does fundamentally, since 1976, to add to and improve the existing supply of housing in Jamaica. And you know that there had been a critical need from then, and there still is that need. And the NHT is there to ensure that we are improving on our housing stock. The next thing is that the NHT enhances the usefulness of its funds by promoting greater efficiency in the housing sector. And this is very important because one of the things that NHT does with the funds that it has is provide financing to developers. And by doing that, you would have seen private developers would have contributed to the housing stock of Jamaica. So I can give you some examples, like for example, Greater Portmore. It was one of the largest housing development projects, not just in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean. Over 10,000 houses were supplied to Jamaicans as a result of Greater Portmore. And there are many through NHT's more than 40-year history that have benefited from interim financing from the National Housing Trust. And of course, the NHT provides financial assistance to contributors who wish to build, buy, or repair their homes. And these are homes that are in Jamaica, of course, and the titles are resident in Jamaica's titles office, registrar of titles. So the route to get a loan from the National Housing Trust requires that an individual contributes. Now, I'm assuming that I'm talking to a group of persons who are living overseas, and maybe you have your permanent resident there, or you are a citizen there. And for such persons, we would register you as a voluntary contributor. And there are perhaps persons in this group who don't have a permanent residency status, wherever you are in the world. or you're not a citizen in France or so, you don't have that kind of status and evidence in documentation. Even with that, you can still contribute to the NHT. So for the voluntary contributor, there is a route to get you to start contributing, and for the person who is not a legal resident or a citizen of a country that is outside of Jamaica, there is a route for you as well, and that is through the tax office. So the voluntary contributor, now I'll focus on that person for the time being. And these persons, the person who is eligible, you would be from the age 18 to 70, and you're either self-employed or employed overseas. And you could have been somebody who contributed to NHT before, and because of migration, you had to stop. Or maybe you had continued because you heard that you could continue even while you were contributing, even while you had migrated. So it is possible. Their contributions, whether it is that you are just contributing or you had started contributing some time ago, be aware that your voluntary contributions is not a tax. It is a form of savings, and it is a form of savings that can benefit you directly in more than one ways. And one of the ways in which it benefits you directly is that this form of savings is actually refundable to you. What the NHT does for now is that it holds your contributions that you pay for 8 years, and in this, for 7 years, and in the 8th year, you can get a refund of those contributions. So because of that, 2013 was 8 years ago. So today, this year, you can request a refund of those contributions. And we do have the facility on NHT's website for you to make a refund request for your contributions made in 2013 or before. But another beautiful thing about your voluntary contributions is that even after you have collected a refund, it does not take away your ability to access a loan. And we actually encourage you to take your refund. It's not something that we hold from you in any way at all. So that, because it's a form of savings, it is money that can be returned to you. Another thing that makes it beneficial is that your contributions, when you are ready to access a loan, to purchase a house or land, your contributions can actually help with going toward making your deposit payment or any other cost that you may incur as a result. Leighton mentioned a couple like the valuation report, your surveyor's ID report, whatever your contributions is. I can tell you when I was purchasing a property, that was in 2012, I needed money that I never even know which part we could have find it. And it was my contributions that saved me. And when I checked it out for about, say, 5 years of contributions, I could get over $200,000. And that was a big help in 2012. And so your contributions, yes, consider it a form of savings. And so registration as a voluntary contributor is actually we try to make it as simple as possible. And another criterion is that you must be, because you must be a permanent resident or a citizen, we do have a form that is on our website, and it's called Voluntary Contributors Application Form. And there's our website address that you can go to access the form, and you can send this form to this email address that you're seeing right here, which is properties@nht.gov.jm. Alternatively, I can give you my email address, and my colleague, whom I should have let you know that she's actually in the audience, her name is Kamisha Smith, and you could also send it to her email address as well. And my email address is Natalie Fowler, that is NATALIEFOWLER @nht.gov.jm. And Kamisha What we will do is write it in the group so that you will have access to both of them. So the voluntary contributors application form is one document you will need to complete in order to register to start contributing as a voluntary contributor. And there are other documents that you will also need along with that registration form that I just mentioned. This would be a copy of your TRN, because we imagine that you won't be coming to Jamaica anytime soon. And even if you are coming to Jamaica, you don't have to wait until you come to Jamaica in order to submit your documents to register as a voluntary contributor. There is a process whereby you can get copies, these documents copied, and then send them to us. But before you do send them, have them notarized. And for persons who are in Europe who do not have like notary public operating in that zone, you could have the consular office, the Jamaica consular office, notarize that the copies are the true copies of the original documents. So your registration, your tax registration number, your TRN card, the NIS card, the voter ID, whether it is a national voter ID that you would have gotten when you were in Jamaica, or your Jamaican driver's license, or even a foreign driver's license, or your passport as ID. We need proof of your overseas residence, whether it is the permanent residence or it is a passport that would have been issued by that country to you. And we need proof of age. That is either on your birth certificate, your passport, or your driver's license. So when you have those, if you have submitted those documents, and as I said, you can email them to us. You don't have to wait until you visit the island to come into our offices. Anywhere, of course, NHT has an office in every parish except Kingston. Kingston and St. Andrew share the same office, which is in St. Andrew, right next to Emancipation Park, if you remember Emancipation Park. And you don't have to wait until you actually touch down on the island. You can send them. We prefer that you send them by post, and you can also email them the notarized documents. If you email them, my email address again, Natalie Fowler at nht.gov.jm, and we'll post the other email addresses in the chat. So we try to make it as convenient as possible. And what is more convenient to make your payment than going online? So you can either download the mobile app on your phone, or you can sign up onto NHT's online platform, which is called NHT Online. And of course, you go to www.nht.gov.jm to sign up. And we require for voluntary contributors 3% of your declared income. When you look up the voluntary contributors registration form, you will see a line that asks you to declare your income. Once you declare your income, then you will know that from that income we require 3% of that, and we have flexible payment methods. As a voluntary contributor, I encourage everyone, just be mindful that the NHT expects that you pay on time. For each month's payment, your payment due date is up until the 14th of the next month. We encourage you to pay on time, regularly, every time, because in order for you to access the loan when you're ready to buy the house, you will need to be, you will need to show that you have been paying on time and in full every month. The benefits, the NHT housing benefits, loans, there are a number of ways in which to become a homeowner, buying house or buying land and then building. And the NHT will give you up to $6.5 million to purchase a house. And if you are combining your loan with some other eligible NHT contributor, then you will need to be, then that will give you up to $30 million combined. if you are purchasing land, because some people prefer that, or maybe it's not preference, but maybe that's that's the opportunity that comes to you. And if you do see land, you can get up to $2.5 million to purchase land, and the rest of the money that NHT can lend you, up to $6.5 million, you get to do construction. So if you do see land, up to $2.5 million NHT will lend you. So if you need more money, you can check with one of our finance partners, VMBS, Jamaica National, Scotiabank, First Caribbean, NCB. All the commercial banks are partners with the National Housing Trust, and you can get additional financing from them. Right. So when you are ready to access the NHT loan, make sure that you have contributed on time, regularly, every month. Do not be late. Critically, if you are late, it sets you back, because one of the qualifying criterion for a voluntary contributor is that you must show 104 weeks or 2 years of contributions. If you used to contribute in the back, if you used to contribute in the back and you have contributed for at least 1 year, you will be required to contribute for another year before you are considered eligible to access an NHT loan. If you've never contributed to the NHT before, then it will mean you will starting this month, 2 years later, making your regular on-time payments, you become a qualified contributor, being able to access an NHT loan. You can get your loan up to age 70. So if there is anybody in this group who is, at an age where whether you're 18 or you are touching age 70, once you have not passed 70, you can access an NHT benefit. So I told you about those loan types already. If you want to borrow to buy land, up to $2.5 million is the maximum NHT will lend. If you are borrowing to purchase a house, we lend you up to $6.5 million. Of course, I reiterate, you can always combine your loan funds with another financing partner. I'd love to touch a little bit, and I'm stealing some time just in case I'm going over, because I love the idea of cluster housing. NHT has a policy called cluster housing, and what this allows, and if the IDS can get as many persons to participate in such a project, because this now allows for people, whether you know you one another or you don't, but you all have like interest of owning property, you can buy a piece of land that is big enough that can be subdivided into up to 9 lots, minimum of 3 lots. And if the benefit of that is that a big piece of land might cost a lot more money than one person can afford. But if persons combine, from 3 to up to 18 persons combined, you have more funds to buy that piece of land. And there, I've seen on real estate websites, Andrew can attest to that, a number of real estate websites have large parcels of land. There are probably opportunities right there for you to ideate your own community, and from that come up with the funds between NHT and its cluster housing policy. Because when you calculate, when you multiply $2.5 million times 18, I think that's about $45 million. So if you were to find property that can be subdivided and shared amongst 18 persons, well, it's 9 lots that you can actually get out of a cluster, but it allows you to do so much more than, you know, persons who will see one large lot and you can't afford it because it perhaps costs $10 million. So cluster housing is a potential opportunity for persons who are dreaming of starting and creating their own community, one that perhaps you could decide if you wanted to be gated, if you wanted to have electrical system that don't have the ubiquitous JPS poles and things like that. You can fashion it however you want to do it. So NHT is building right across the island, And that is our promise. 23,000 housing starts by 2021, and we are determined to fulfill that. If you as a voluntary contributor want to buy into one of these, it is possible as well. When NHT has its own housing units, its own schemes, whether it is houses or lots inside them, we will advertise to contributors on the NHT website and in local newspapers, letting persons know it's now time, such and such a scheme is available. You can make an application on the NHT website. These are some of the ways in which you can contact the National Housing Trust, make queries. I'm sure by now Kamisha has put it in the group, the email addresses. My phone number is 807-3140, and you can WhatsApp me a message, or you can voice note me if you need more information, or if you need to get any kind of enabling to start your voluntary contributor registration. And the Kamisha's number, hers is 829. Kamisha's number is 829. Sorry, one second. 829-0187. So feel free to ask your questions. I wanted to touch on a few other things, including how persons who aren't residents or permanent or citizens of an overseas country can contribute. But if you do want to engage me further, I can talk to you about that, because that also is a process. And anybody who is a Jamaican citizen, once you're in the diaspora, you too can contribute to the NHT. And once you contribute to the NHT, you're guaranteed a housing benefit. Whether it is you want loan to buy a house, or loan to buy land, or loan to build, or it is that you see a house inside of an NHT scheme that is brand new and you want to make an application for that scheme. Loads more information to give, but Renay gave me limited time. Thank you very much. And I'm sure she's going to make up for it in the future. Thank you so much, Renay, for the invitation once again.
Natalie, let me tell you something. Thank you so much. But today is just kind of a touch and go, because you know persons have busy lifestyles. So what we try to do is just give them a little taste. You know, when you go for buy Guinea and you taste and buy others, taste one and then you go back for the bunch. It's kind of like that today. But remember, IDS is there, and IDS now will be bridging that gap between those abroad and what they want to do in Jamaica and bring their hearts right back home. So you touch on it, and then we can go in details a little bit later. All right. And I noticed Ireland is in the house. People logged in from Ireland. I just saw my friend Stephen Clark come on. He's in Florida. So welcome one and all. We have a few questions, Natalie. Someone is asking, I had well, no, let me start from the top. Can I borrow a loan from the NHT if I'm abroad? And do I need to be in Jamaica for the interview?
Don't mind Kamisha chiming in, and I do welcome her too. Yes, of course, you can borrow a loan from the National Housing Trust while you are overseas, and we facilitate that. As a matter of fact, though, I must say, because it is buying a house, it's not like buying bread. You know, it's a legal process. We do require that there's someone that represents you. So what you can do is consider having somebody do power of attorney for you. Just sign up somebody that you trust to sign up as your power of attorney, which is a simple matter. And Kamisha and I won't mind at all with sending you certain sample documents, because getting somebody to be your power of attorney and doing the necessary documentation for it, it's a simple process. You can have that done. Once you have a power of attorney, the person can represent you right here. And so that person will come in for the interview. That's where we're at this stage. And that's how I'd encourage persons to engage that kind of process. So yes, it is possible.
Excellent. There were a few questions that were asked, but you know, some were answered already in the chat. So I'll just skip over those. I paid my NHT up to 2012. Would I still be able to get a mortgage from that?
It counts, but As I had said, I repeat because I know it's a lot of information. When you are going to apply for a loan, we want to see that you are still contributing. So what I'd love for that person to do is to start contributing today. Just call me and we'll set it up. Because as I said, there are some things that information that I didn't give you. So I want to give you the fullness so that you can register right now. What the benefit of your previous contributions is that we have at least 1 year already for you. So when you do start today, then 1 year later, you're making your payments on time and making them in full, you're eligible. So you start today in June, next year, May, you're eligible. We can proceed with your purchasing a property.
Excellent. What if you were on no paid leave for a few months, hence no contribution during that period? Will it affect my eligibility to the NHT loan?
Yes, it definitely would, because when you are ready to access a benefit, you have to be contributing at least 3 months prior to application. And so you would have a break in your contributions, and so you'd have to resume. But for overseas voluntary contributors, you have to have 12 months paid on time, 12 consecutive months. So that break would set you back a little bit. You would have to start contributing, and after 12 months, then that person becomes eligible again.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you know, the time is fast spent. There's one other question though. Can you use the app to pay your mortgage or just the contribution? Or is it just a contribution that you can pay with the app?
Yes, you can. You can make payments. As a voluntary contributor, you can make your payments, your contributions payments online. If you're not a voluntary contributor, then the payments would have to be made differently, and that is through the TAJ's tax office's portal. But aside from that, you can make your mortgage payments as well as your voluntary contributor payments on the NHT website and via the mobile app.
Excellent. Thank you so much from the NHT.
I choose ideas because they bring our hearts back. Hearts back home, the place I know, the place I go.